to Jeff Koinange live at the poolside of the Intercontinental Hotel. You know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about politics. And what a matchup we have tonight. We're going to have to need G4S, Recce Squad, Fire Extinguisher. All check, check, check. Because the man with the same name twice is back. Miguna Miguna has been out of circulation for a while. We'll ask him where he's been and his thoughts and everything. Referendum, ICC, Ruto versus Ruto. You name it, we'll talk about it. And here, just to be in the middle, the man in the middle, is a man who was former Deputy Speaker and former Lagdera Member of Parliament, Farah Maalim. It's going to be a great show. Start tweeting at Koinange Jeff, hashtag JKL. Let's get busy. Gentlemen, good to see you. Miguna, where have you been? Where have you been?
Earning a living.
Not in this country.
Well, in Canada.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How's it feel?
It feels good.
And
it's always good to come back to come back home.
It is, huh? And I'm sure you've been keeping your eye on Kenya, Miguna. What do you see when you cast your eye across the pond and you see what's going on here?
Good and bad. Disappointing at times, but I have hope for the country.
You have hope?
I have hope.
Where's the hope?
The hope comes from the realization that eventually the decision ultimately belongs to the people, and in the end, the people make the right decision. So that's my hope.
Referendum then? Good thing, bad thing?
Well, that's not a good question, Jeff. It depends on what the referendum is about. If it is about the issues that have not been disclosed, and it's about a non-existent question. In Scotland, they had a referendum with a simple, clear, crisp, and ambiguous question. Should Scotland be an independent state? Yes or no? They voted no. But there is no doubt that the Scottish understood the question. Right now, we are talking about a referendum. We don't know the question. We've been given a laundry list of 37 issues, not crystallized, many of which are not and cannot be subjected to yes or no, so therefore do not qualify for a referendum. Some of the questions are so obvious. Is there poverty in Kenya? Of course there is poverty. Is there corruption in Kenya? Of course there is corruption. Is there tribalism in Kenya? Of course. But are those really legitimate questions for a referendum?
So let's ask the man who's in the inner core, the think tank of Court's inner sanctum, if you will. Farah Maalim, your thoughts? What is the question?
I think that in my opinion, there are a number of questions, but I would zero in on 2 or 3 at the most. One is the kind of resources we need to devolve. Jeff, this country has been independent now for 51 years. And all we have seen is us getting close to becoming a failed state every 5 years or every 10 years. We've seen tribalism, we have seen corruption, we have seen all the ills, genocides committed by the very people who are supposed to be the custodians of the security of this country on their own nationals. We have seen tribal and clan wars in the country and this is all because the center has not served this country very well in all the subsequent governments that were there. What we want to see right now is for us to maintain that unity so that we do not fall into the realization and the conceptions of a substantial population or percentage of the population of Scotland who want to break away from the United Kingdom, because 46% of them voted to break away, to become independent. The margin is small. You never know 10 years down the line. But right now, those ones who are unionists, who did not want to break away, say, we will give a chance to the center again. We have a problem in this country.
And you're saying
what we are trying to do, let me just finish.
Funds,
devolve the funds, take the funds away from the center and take it to the periphery.
More than they are now.
More than they are, by far more than they are now. It's only 15% now. We want less.
No, 42.
Just a second. We have taken is there in the Constitution. You do not try and classify what has been disbursed by the center, but which is which is being executed in the periphery as part of that devolved funds.
Mashima, let me stop you right there. Because last week I was on a program with Devolution Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru.
Yes.
And she did say, and I know this, Constitution says minimum of 15%. They have gone out of the way to give the counties up to 42%. And yes, they may be using figures from 2009, but it is still 42%.
Jeff, simple arithmetics. Let me just finish. I had not even finished what I was trying to tell you. What we need to do is that if you take now the resources to Kiambu, for the governor of Kiambu to handle that, or you take them to Garissa, or take them to Siaya, the people in Siaya will not say, we the Luos are marginalized, the center is not taking good care of us. The people of Kiambu will not say, we are being marginalized. The people of Kiambu will contend with the management of resources for their own development, which is managed by one of their own. You see what I mean? This country is going to become more united because you don't have to come to Nairobi to get something. In the past, the center used to decide which part of the country has to be served and which part of the country has got to be given everything.
Miguna,
that's why we don't have even a single. We have only 9 kilometers of tarmac in the whole of Northeastern Province.
Well, that's
because we never had a president.
No, that's your problem. That's you people.
Jeff.
Miguna, I think this is kind of rubbish.
Jeff, I want to be very, very clear. You asked the question, what is the referendum question?
Right.
My good friend said there were 3 questions. I did not hear even one. You see, that is the problem with the so-called Okoa rebellion, which they say it's Okoa movement. They are all about protest and no substance. Because what is the question? There is no question. That's number 1. Number 2, you cannot say that you take into the referendum for Kenyans to vote on the basis that there should be more money devolved to the counties. Let's be clear. The Constitution is very clear. The Constitution says that the counties are entitled to at least 15% of the audited budget of the previous year. Now, that is what the Constitution said. This Constitution was written when Raila was the Prime Minister. He ratified that Constitution. He campaigned for it. And in fact, I remember, because I was his advisor, Mutaha Kangwa and I wanted 45%. And Raila told me in his office that no, why give them 45? We don't know who these people are going to be. We don't know what these structures are going to be. We don't know whether they are going to be functional or not. Why don't we wait and we incrementally give them funds based on performance?
He told you this?
He told me this. And that's why he campaigned for the Constitution. Less than 3 years later, he wants to change it. Now, what he wants to change is already in the Constitution. The Constitution is saying at least, which means you can give up to 45 or even more if there is need. But the Constitution says something else which is very fundamental, which nobody talks about. The Constitution and the operating law says that money follows functions. Before you give counties money, you must first of all legislate functions. Then these functions have to be costed. For example, if you give a county the role of constructing, say for example, county roads, you must cost that. How much will it cost? Then you go to the budget, then you allocate money. If you give counties 45% and you have not given them functions, they use that money to marry more wives, to build more palaces, to buy more cars, to travel abroad, to do all kinds of nonsense that they have been doing. Accountability essentially means that this public money cannot be given to you as a gift. Let them first of all demonstrate to us how much they have used, in what, and whether or not those were legitimate expenses. Then we can talk about more money.
First, I will ask you to have equity here. Allow me as much time as Miguna to state my position.
You want 43%?
No, hang on a minute. Yeah, basically as much as he has had. Let me explain to you something.
Yes.
What I was going... First, I'm not here from Raila's office. I'm here in my capacity as a Kenyan, and I have an opinion and I have a position. At the time when Raila and others were happy with 15%, I was opposed to the idea of 15%.
How much did you want then?
Well, I wanted not less than 35%. I have seen this.
They overruled us.
I wanted much more than that. And now the position of this additional money to be devolved to the counties is not coming from Raila as an individual. It is coming from us collectively. You know as well as I do, and many Kenyans know that I'm not somebody to be told by the leader, come and do these things, and I do it blindly. We have our own positions on these things. And if Raila were to oppose it, I would still go against him on this particular one. And I think everybody knows that. Let me tell you one thing. Don't talk about 42%. Talk about the amount of money that goes to the counties. What is the ordinary revenue we have in the country now? The ordinary revenue is about 1 trillion shillings. Between 800 and something to 1 trillion shillings. What is 42% of that? Are you telling me now we have sent out into the counties 420 billion Kenya shillings?
No, audited
just
budget.
A moment, just a moment.
Audited.
Just a moment. Ordinary revenue. Basically, that we have not done that. We've only taken 200 and something, slightly over 200. We haven't even gone. Even the amount that essentially was supposed to be done, which the Commission on the Revenue allocation has been slashed by over 10 billion.
Yeah, but that's the same.
Hang on a minute. You cannot run a system from the center here and basically make an expenditure on it and say because it's being implemented in the periphery, that money has been devolved to the periphery. Let me finish, Jeff. It's not been devolved to the periphery. I know that so many county governments have misused resources. Jeff, just because some muggers are going to come here on the road next to Intercontinental Hotel and mug the pedestrians who are passing through that, we cannot say close the road. You deal with the governors who have done that. They have broken the law. Take them to jail.
That hasn't happened.
Who is failing to do that?
Okay, let me ask you a quick question.
Who is failing to do that? The center is failing to do that.
This is your question.
Yes.
Micah Chesaram,
yes.
Chairman of the Committee on Revenue Allocation, he said the way this money is being demanded is going to grind this government to a halt.
Yes.
Right? That's one question. Real quick. 2, what are you going to do with this extra money you are asking for that you haven't done with the money you have right now? You people, first of all, in Wajir, what are you going to do? Build another dam? Build another cattle
Let me tell you. We will build we don't have any infrastructures to talk of. Jeff, if you go to a village here in Kiambu, outside Kiambu, I'm sure you have a tarmac road that goes all the way to your farm.
No, I don't have a farm.
Children in Wajir and Mandera and Garissa have never seen a tarmac road except Garissa town.
Yeah, whose fault is that?
The center. Here,
but
Treasury. Whose fault is it? Me?
It's you people, as a member of parliament.
Jeff,
you didn't bring them roads. You had CDF.
Yes,
CDF to go and build
Jeff,
roads. 80 million shillings to go and build roads.
No, it's a start. Give them maram.
I have to jump in here.
Jump.
Jeff, the issue is not whether or not we have equity or equitable development in Kenya. As I said, we all admit we don't. We don't have equity and we don't have equitable development in Kenya. So nobody is arguing with that. Even the government would not argue with that, I presume. Nobody is saying that all these counties have maram roads or tarmac roads. No, we are not saying that. Nobody is saying more development is bad. And we can do all of this without a referendum. Let me tell you.
I agree with you.
Let me tell you.
You can do it without a referendum. If it goes through the process,
yes.
If it goes through the process, and the parliament, with the tyranny of numbers, by the way, by the Jubilee government, decides these are good questions and passes it,
my friend,
there will be no need for a referendum.
Let me finish this. You don't need a referendum or even legislation to do development, to increase allocations.
What do you need?
No, you don't need.
So what do you need?
You need, first of all, you need to demonstrate need, and you need to demonstrate accountability. And then money flows when those functions have, like for now, for example, more than 22 billion were given to counties in the last year. What did they do with them, with the money?
Well,
we don't know. The public doesn't know.
They seem to know the counties.
They are very nice cars. So no, but you see, it is very clever to turn this into marginalized areas versus areas that are doing well, or people in government versus people who are not in government, because you bring rift. You don't bring unity, you bring rift.
Mheshimiwa, what did you do with 22 billion in Wajir, or your people?
Jeff, this debate of divorcing development from who is at the center here in power, who is the president in quotes, did not start today. It started in the 90s when we had the first multi-party elections in the country. And we used to be told as opposition members of parliament those days, yes, this project is required, but it's going to be implemented when funds are available. Our former president said, because you went and supported opposition, you're not going to get development. The second president of the country. You see what I mean? Such that areas that are seen not to have voted for the party in power those days were starved of development. So what we decided is, this constitution has tried to address all those problems that we had before, which means development is a right. It's not because of your political persuasion or your freedom of thought that you should get this development or the measure of development that you have to get. It's a pity that Kenyans are forgetting the debates we had only 20 years ago, because the shoe is now, or rather it's another foot now. Now what I'm trying to tell you is that what we are trying to do is to separate development from political persuasion and political support.
Okay, let me ask both of you gentlemen, before we go on break, real quick question. Is it fair to start mutilating the Constitution 4 years after we promulgated it?
We're not mutilating the Constitution. If anything, the government of the day has got a lot of answers, a lot of questions to answer in as far as the mutilation of the Constitution is concerned, because right now Parliament is trying to reverse a number of acts, and a number of acts have been reversed in Parliament as it is today. So the actual mutilation of the Constitution is being done right now by the so-called tyranny of majority there, or the tyranny of numbers in the House. This is an amendment to the Constitution because in the process of trying to operationalize devolution, there is a realization that more funds is needed for this. I agree with you. There has to be strict accountability. I don't for one moment want to be seen as somebody defending the misuse of resources at the counties today. There is a lot of that. But what we want to do is we want to have a system in which we maintain the unity of this country. We don't fight tooth and nail unto death to have one of your own as a president in this country. We almost became a failed state in 2007, 2008. We're likely to become a failed state again in the future if we do not address some of these things.
Miguna, real quick.
Presidency has got to become a position that people are not even that keen to run after. Because right now, the center holds all the resources and is able to do what it wants to do with it.
Am I going to have a word?
Yes, you can have it.
Go on, Miguna.
This is not about even mutilating the Constitution. In as much as my friend wants to run away from the reality, this is a power contest that Raila is leading, and we can't run away from the fact that Raila is leading it. He's the one who called for dialogue, and I'm going to call for dialogue, by the way, in Nyanza.
You are?
I'm calling for dialogue. So he brought it after he came from the United States, right? He said he's calling for dialogue. And shortly after that, he said, the time for dialogue is over. We want a referendum. So we can't run away from the fact that he called it. He wants to set up a stage like he did in 2005, so that depending on how he performs, he can use it as a platform. And he can use the group that he has collected for purposes of advancing his cause for 2017, because he's already declared that he's running for president.
So this is the prelude?
This is all it is. Let nobody lie to you that it is about money to the counties. This is all a ruse. And Raila has been busy chasing a mirage for a long time, and he's still chasing it.
Miguna, you're obsessed, you know.
So no, I'm not obsessed. Listen to me.
He's been obsessed
listen
one
to me.
time in support.
Can you listen to me?
Supporting him, and now obsessed fighting.
Just listen to me. Listen to me. Because I was never obsessed supporting him. I supported Raila on issues and would still do so if only he played the issues honestly. The fact of the matter is that as Raila is making noise about democracy, equity, and devolution at the center, there is no democracy, there is no multi-party democracy in Nyanza, Luo Nyanza. You know that Raila decides who become a member of parliament, who becomes a governor, who becomes a senator. Just the other day, you saw how badly mangled the nominations of ODM were in Nyanza. For example, in Siaya, Oduol won. Just because Oduol defeated Oburu Odinga, Oduol is not governor. He went and picked up somebody who did not even get 100 votes. And that is now the governor of, as we speak, let me finish this.
That's what they get.
No, let me just finish. Jeff, let me finish. Let me finish.
We're veering away
speak,
from
no, I have to talk about this. As we speak, there is a meeting in Bomas tomorrow that is supposed to impeach the governor for Kisumu. As we speak, you saw the kafafu in Migori with shoes being thrown at the president. The man is busy always stirring the pot for the perpetuation of the Odinga Caliphate.
You think it's all one man?
It's all one man's agenda. And a lot of people are complaining about it. Now, obviously, I subscribe to that agenda at some point. But you have to tell me in the world who never makes a mistake. So you must be able to accept when you make a mistake. I'm saying the referendum debate is not a genuine debate.
Real quick, we're going to go commercial. I want a quick answer. Quick answer before we go.
The problem with you, Jeff, is every time I have to talk and Miguna is here, you tell me quick and you give him all the time in the world.
And then he complains.
Let me just explain.
Should we take a break, come back and come to you?
Let me just say one thing. To begin with, I am not a sycophant of Raila Odinga. I'm not here defending Raila Odinga.
That.
Just a moment. Yeah. I'm not here defending Raila Odinga. I didn't come to this show to come and fight for Raila Odinga. If anything, my brother one time was there prepared to lay his life for him.
Correct.
I was never prepared to lay my life for anybody other than the principle that we share. And I've had my massive disagreements with him, and he himself has stated some of them in his book. And I respect him for that. But let me explain to you one thing. The issue of dialogue started with us, with me among them, before Raila came back from the US.
Dialogue with the government?
Yes, we are sick. National dialogue. National dialogue. Because of the myriads of things that were happening in the country. The insecurity that was there, every day things getting blown up. Me and you almost got blown up when we went to try and have something in Slee. You remember that?
Correct.
Those guys were coming for me and you.
Correct.
So, and the victimization, the discrimination, basically the kind of things that were happening in the country. And we said, look, this country is coming apart. And we are the ones who agitated for that. He had to follow our chorus.
So why did you move away from it?
Just a moment. No, I never moved away from it.
No, why did you stop calling for dialogue? Why did you go to a referendum?
We called for a dialogue. Can I just finish, Miguna? Yeah. We called for a dialogue, and we are past that. The reason why I think we never got any serious partners on the other side. And this is the nature of politics, let me tell you one thing. Even now, the chance for dialogue, in my opinion, is still there. Because the government has seen that Kenyans, at the end of the day, the power ultimately rests with Kenyans. And the referendum is basically going to come to that realization. I am, for one, a person who is not looking at the immediate future and trying to use this thing for a political capital come 2017. No. I'm looking at these things for posterity. I'm looking into my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and the kind of country I think Kenyans should live in. So there are a few things. The things that are really going wrong, that basically we need to have a system in place. Our constitution is one of the biggest because there are too many things that have been done to Kenyans, so we wanted to try and accommodate everything instead of having a small constitution.
So it was a big mistake then?
The big mistake, there are many, many big mistakes. I mean, there's been massive corruption in the country. There's insecurity in the country. There is the problem with the developments in the country. You're going to blame the
constitution for all of that?
No, I'm not blaming the constitution. We have a beautiful constitution. All we want to do is to make it a little bit better.
Gentlemen, let's take a break.
And there are generations that will come and even make it better again.
Sure. Like the American constitution, how many times has it been amended?
37 times the last time I knew about it, yes.
In how many years?
237.
237 years.
Do the math.
Absolutely. We're making only one amendment.
We're going to do the math right now and pay some bills when we come back. Good grief. It is getting hot out here by the pool. Former Deputy Speaker Farah Maalim, former personal advisor to the Prime Minister, Miguna Miguna, the same name twice. It's getting heated out here. We're talking issues. Gentlemen, ICC, Ruto versus Ruto. Let's switch from...
Yeah, for God's sake, let's leave the personality issues. Miguna can pick up these things. Let him go to Kisumu and pick up the Luo politics there.
You know that's the problem with CORD.
We'll take a break. You guys carry on talking. I'm going to take my break. Carry on.
You know that's the problem with CORD. They can talk about Uhuru Kenyatta and it is okay. It is not personality.
They
can talk about... No, I'm not talking about you.
Uhuru Kenyatta is a